Welcome to Transform, Tomorrow's Thinking Today. Real conversations on the innovation shaping businesses and our society.
Welcome back to Transform. You're joining us for part one of a three-part conversation about Jon and I's journey across Australia. I'm Tom Bedeman, Business Group Leader for Data and Insights at GHD, joined by Jon Jarritt, Market Leader for Data Insights at GHD.
So Tom, why did we go to Australia? What was the motivation for doing a 3-week trip across the entire Australian continent?
Yeah, so Jon, we joined GHD back in January 2020, and since that time we've kind of built a data advisory and infrastructure team in the UK. There's kind of around 40 of us now working across a range of different infrastructure types. So some quite exciting projects. The kind of scale of the projects has been increasing. Obviously, GHD in the UK is quite small. There's about 350 people in total, of which we're beginning to be a kind of largish proportion. But then the question was kind of in Australia, obviously GHD's got a larger presence. The kind of data advisory kind of direct to clients is quite a kind of a thin layer. So is there opportunity for us to be kind of serving clients better by kind of bolting on data services or providing kind of data infrastructure services direct into clients? So a bit of a fact-finding mission, really. And it was really good. We had 3 weeks there. It was really good to have those discussions, and really good opportunity just to kind of asking clients like, where are you with your kind of data, your systems for managing your infrastructure, and also an opportunity for us to kind of bring over kind of what, where is the UK industry at the moment, what's working, what's not working, what are the clients, the priorities of different clients, and that kind of thing. What were your kind of key take homes from that discussion?
I'm not sure there's one specific message, right? But it was amazing to talk to so many different clients. And I think the one thing that did stand out probably more than anything else was the range of maturities across the data, information and technology space across that client base, in line with what you would probably expect in terms of different ways in which they're funded, different scopes of operations, different business models, etc. So kind of we saw everything from privately funded clients in the private infrastructure space around freight and tolling that were probably more advanced than the cutting edge in the infrastructure space here in the UK, and also government funded clients with very tight and thin budgets in that space that were struggling but still getting to grips with the same kinds of fundamental issues as the better funded clients. So kind of really impressive work being done across the piece, really, despite that level of maturity variation.
What are the biggest challenges that we were seeing, and what issues are they causing to those clients?
Lack of resilience in the basics is an answer that essentially came out in a number of different ways. And it was fascinating to talk through kind of the number of clients that were dealing with kind of a lack of semantic clarity in their data, and kind of real basics around what does the data mean? What do we mean when we say a bridge, when we say a road, when we use individual terms, particularly clients that were trying to bring together multiple legacy systems that covered the same data domain. So multiple systems that covered property because of organizational mergers, or etc. Data quality was an issue that probably, as expected, always came up. Although interestingly, we saw both clients and capabilities in the marketplace that were really kind of much more focused on resolving data quality issues than we see here in the UK.
Yeah, that definitely stood out.
That have really gone the extra mile to build the business case for data quality and to resolve it, which is really interesting, and a super interesting reflection for us kind of coming back to the UK.
And it stands out how the kind of industry dynamics are very different actually across UK compared to Australia. Mining as an example, where you need to keep your assets going, so then therefore it's worth investing in the systems, but the high quality data in the systems, which you often don't see in the UK.
Yeah, resource extraction was kind of the sector that has really managed to make that connection between underlying data and end profit which is obviously very difficult for a publicly funded railway to do. But being kind of right next to each other, like literally in the next office in some cities, the difference in those business models and kind of the impact that had on their ability to deploy data information technology into the asset management and the asset lifecycle space was really fascinating.
Yeah. Would you say everyone had a kind of vision as to where they were going?
I think, as ever with technology, people use it in their personal lives. People see how things are rapidly moving, and particularly now we're sort of fairly heavily into the AI revolution. People want that, and they want to deploy that. So I'm not sure it's always as coherent as a vision, but there's a very clear and well understood thread of, we know we should be better, we want to be better, and we want to go there as a business. I think what was interesting was the organizations that were really succeeding and really making kind of super impressive progress in that were the people that had connected that desire to be better to the underlying business model of their businesses. And the organizations that were struggling and had long-term challenges about actually improving and deploying were those where that connection to the business model was understood to be weak.
Yeah. And I think maybe a common theme across the UK and Australia was that kind of growing understanding, like technology is becoming an operational cost. It's just kind of an operational aspect of the business, isn't it? A lot of investment over the last kind of 10, 15, in some cases 20 years, but it's not static. And to keep it going, it's investing in the data of your infrastructure, and that kind of builds you on the journey towards more and more insight about how your assets are operating.
Yeah, like if we're struggling to understand whether ongoing investment in data quality, which is required, like sort of we understand kind of just thermodynamically, we can't leave this stuff. Entropy is going to come and get us. The data is going to continue to degrade. It needs to be upkept. But if we haven't correctly understood that is OPEX and needs to be funded as OPEX and is a key part of delivering the service on a day-to-day basis and kind of achieving those day-to-day objectives, and we're still treating that piece as individual slices of capital investment, then that's a challenge, because it's not capital investment, it's ongoing operational cost. And getting that aligned, I think, was clearly a challenge in some places. That's not to say that the UK is brilliant at that, but I think there are, certainly for most of the infrastructure majors here in the UK, of the conversation with the regulator has enabled that to be fairly clear that is OPEX.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a super strong connection to the business case, but you've got the presence of a regulator there that says, no, that's OPEX, and we all accept that's OPEX, and we're funded on that basis.
Yeah, but even there, like in the UK, still finding its feet on how to address that, I would say. And if you roll back a few more years, like 2018, but organizations were building their kind of like in-house data science teams as their kind of solution to that. But then you've got to kind of keep that going. There's a kind of talent management aspect to it, and those kind of things. And then it's actually realizing that some of it is kind of more like moving as the systems and products are moving, and making use of the tools as they're coming, which is what you're paying your license cost for anyway.
Yeah, and it's immensely challenging for an infrastructure organization to be as agile as they need to be in that space, right? Like, a startup at the big tech major, they will chop and change the focus of their teams, what they're doing, what they're investing in, on an almost weekly basis when things are moving fast, daily if required. You can't do that in a regulated, safety critical business. You can't be taking an axe to the org structure every single week. It would be chaos. You need to balance that safety critical requirement for stability and like allowing people to understand what is happening on a daily basis, with the need to refresh and continually evolve the systems piece, the data integration piece, your analytics piece. And AI disrupts that entire flow in some way, shape or form, in ways that again require a lot of thinking about and a lot of careful planning to get them right, particularly if safety is involved.
Yeah. So what would we kind of say as a simple step that organizations can be taking to kind of structure their data so their decisions can become clearer and more auditable, defensible, and valuable?
I think the first thing is make sure the business case is there, right? Like understand what is data quality doing on the front line of the business. And I think a couple of clients stick out, naming no names, of course, but like a couple of clients stick out where they clearly understood that at an identity, a visceral identity level, that poor data quality was significantly hampering their ability to execute on a daily basis, but they could not attach a dollar sign to that.
Yeah.
And that means the business case can't be made. I think as part of building that business case, as part of going through that process of really understanding in detail what is data quality doing to us on a daily basis, you build the knowledge to really get to the bottom of what's going to solve it. Because there's actually only one chance to get it right, really, which is the point at which you put it in the system. And that speaks to process, it speaks to compliance out on the front line of the business and kind of bringing those people along with you. So it kind of the entry point really isn't Python code and large language models. The entry point is just people and business. Again, that's sometimes a challenging realization for kind of explicitly technology focused individuals, leaders, and executives.
Yeah. It was really good. Everyone was kind of talking about it. It's not kind of segregated that you've kind of got the engineers in the operational side and kind of a back of house performance and data team. The thinking and the discussions were integrated, like everyone gets it and is there chipping away at it.
Yeah. And there was a focus and there was a realization that it was not going away, and it was something that we need to keep going with. And we were genuinely very impressed with not just with the mature clients, but even some of the stories and the interactions with the less mature clients were even more impressive because of the heroic efforts to kind of move those organizations forward. Like it's essentially kind of in the hours around doing other day jobs kind of thing. It was genuinely really impressive, the complexity of the issues that some of those individuals were seriously grappling with.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, it was amazing.
It was really good.
Yeah. I think to summarize that, it's kind of all maturity clients that we spoke to are kind of their challenge, but they're kind of working through it. How do we just keep kind of chipping away at better and better kind of data quality, better and better link from data through to decision making, and that kind of increased realization that technology is an operational cost, but that kind of brings it to the forefront of the business.
Yeah.
Favorite meal?
Steak on the beach at Manly.
That was really good, wasn't it?
In part two, we're going to go a little bit deeper into systems, applications, platforms, and data, and what's the difference between all of those things, and how do we solve all of them together? Do we need to solve all of them together?
Exciting.
You've been listening to Transform by GHD. Big ideas, real impact.